everybody. Today we're going to talk about the email address select object, which is more or less similar to the drop-down and the autocomplete, but this one is specifically to be used to select one or more addresses, email addresses basically. So let's go ahead and add that to our customer details screen. Here you go. And as you can see, the attributes are more or less the same as the drop-down or not complete, so I need to specify my data source field, which is well, take any character field, address to, and I need to specify a endpoint to populate the list. So I've created this one. Now keep in mind that the sports database doesn't have a table with email addresses. So I've improvised a little bit, So anyway, I've created this endpoint, and that's all I need to do. And then I'll open the portal. This is the detail screen, so I can't. I need to open it from a parent screen. Okay, there it is. So here's my email address field. So if I type a star, you can see that I get the list, the drop-down list basically, with the email addresses. Now, what's interesting here is that you can specify also a image, an icon, or let's say a thumbnail image of 45 times 45, for example. And you can fetch that from, let's say, your own database, images of your colleagues, link them to the emails, email addresses, etc. Now, if this object does not find or you don't provide a image for this specific email address, he's going to try to find the images online in your Gravatar online profiles. So if that email address has a Gravatar image, then he'll try to propose that here as well as he can. So if you select one, you can type another letter and he'll propose the list, and you can go ahead like that and type another one. As you can see, it'll just keep expanding the list. If you want to remove one, it's very simple. Just hit the X and it's gone. Now, let's have a look at the endpoint, which makes all this happen. So it's again a standard list endpoint with our standard list include, where I simply specify the name of my temp table, the field of the ID and the label name, and then of course my drop-down list field and the 2 column headers. Now, to be able to have images in any list endpoint or the drop-down list, you need to specify these 2 things here. You need to specify a response parameter, which is image round true. That means the image will be round and not square. And you can also specify here the image size. Now, like I said, I've been cheating a little bit because it's not really a table for email addresses, but I did find a few email addresses in the feedback table, so I simply did a for each on that, and I just took the records which had email addresses. And of course I can have duplicates, so if I have a duplicate, I'll skip that. Here's some search text criteria, and then here I'll simply create the TT list where my email address is the email address, and the name I'll just extract the first entry of my email address because I don't really have a name, and the drop-down list, the 2 columns, first the name, and in the end I want to see the email address. Next, I can get an image here, so I could return the image field, which is, if I open the include, you'll see that I have an image data field in my temp table as well. Here, image field, image data. I didn't specify here the image data field name, so it takes the default one. And now I could use this procedure here to actually populate that image data like as I do it here, as so. So I can pass the image data as a base64 image content. So I'll simply say here data image, I'll give the extension and then base64, and then I'll give here the file content, and that's passed back together with all the rest of the information. Now, a little explanation what I'm doing here. I copied that from some other application or endpoint I made earlier. Basically, I have here employee pictures, and I'm trying to find if this 45 times 45 version exists. If it doesn't exist, I'm basically going to use Magic X XZ to resize my picture, create a new version of that, and then use that as my thumbnail image. And then basically I'm coming here. Once I have a thumbnail image, then I can do the same as always. I can simply do a copy lop to memory pointer, base64 that, and then just pass it along back to the endpoint as a response. So that's about it for the email addresses. Pretty straightforward. Works like a charm. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.